but normally a witness is called to produce a particular document or to produce a particular item. As we stand now, none of us knows what this witness is coming to produce, so we can't even pull it out from these massive documents. We want it to go on record that this is trial by ambush. We will know for the first time what this witness has come here to do when he begins speaking. I just want that to go on record, but before he starts, I want counsel to tell us what documents this witness wants to rely on, so that against all the unfairness we have witnessed, at least we can have some semblance of looking at it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Counsel for the National Assembly, what say you?
Mr. Speaker, the documents to be identified by the witness are contained in Volume 8A of our bundle.
Calling the witness, please. Just have the witness on this side.
Okay.
Where the others took the oath. Now, just to remind Counsel for the National Assembly, you have 20 minutes to conclude on your case, and the Counsel for the Deputy President, you still have your 45 minutes intact for purposes of cross-examination. Let's proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I intend to use 15 minutes to take the witness in chief and reserve 5 minutes for any re-exam.
So before the witness takes an oath, Counsel for the Deputy President, you do confirm now that you understand and you know the documents that the witness is going to produce as contained in volume 8A. And these are the documents, I believe, in respect to which I made a ruling yesterday, to have them admitted.
We do, Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Thank you so much, Senior Counsel.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So this is, we cannot, and as a chair, I cannot allow trial by ambush. Proceed.
Thank you. I, Abdi Ahmed Mohamud, do solemnly swear that the evidence that I shall give before this Senate in respect of the matters before the Senate shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God. Thank you.
So, Mr. Abdi, introduce yourself to the Senate, the place you work, your rank, and how many years you've worked in that institution.
Thank you. My name is Abdi Mohamud. I'm the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I have worked at the Commission since 2005. I started off as a senior investigator. Right now, I'm the Deputy Chief Executive Officer. My main responsibilities are to assist the Chief Executive Officer of the Commission in the day-to-day running of the Commission, among others. Another key role and responsibility that I hold at the Commission is that I chair the Commission Management Committee on Investigation Evaluation. Basically, I have been an investigator since 2005 when I joined the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mahmoud. You are before the Senate this morning following summonses which were issued to your institution. And in the summonses, the 3 areas were identified. Would you wish to appraise the Senate on those 3 areas which you are to guide the Senate on?
Okay. If I may refer to my documents,
Yes, you can.
Thank you. So there are 3 areas that I was requested to comment on. The first one is an investigation that the Commission conducted on a procurement on the supply of long-lasting insecticide nets at the Kenya Medical Supplies Agency, KEMSA. The second issue that I was to comment on is the declaration of gifts and donations received by His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President, during his tenure of the office to date, pursuant to Section 14(5) of the Leadership and Integrity Act. The third issue that I was to comment on is the declaration of conflict of interest made to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission by His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, to date.
So we'll go to the first question, or the first issue, which you are asked to address yourself to. And I wish to refer the witness, Honorable Speaker, to our bundle 8 of our documents. Can you identify the document at page 3 of that document?
Yes, I can identify. This is a letter that we did to the Clerk of the National Assembly on 23rd September 2024. It was responding to a letter that we received from the National Assembly requesting us to furnish the National Assembly with information on the investigation that we conducted on the long-lasting insecticide nets, and to indicate in our responses any outcome or status of the investigation that we did conduct.
So your letter in that volume relates to procurement of certain items at KEMSA, am I correct?
You are correct.
You've appraised the Senate, the National Assembly in that letter. Would you appraise the Senate on its contents?
The content is the procurement of long-lasting insecticides by KEMSA. This was in the year 2023, and the Commission, in its functions, either it conducts investigation on its own motion or at the instigation of other parties. For this particular investigation, we did receive a letter from the CS, who was then in charge of the Ministry of Health, indicating that there were certain irregularities in a procurement of insecticide nets by the KEMSA, and the CS then wanted us to conduct investigation and find out whether certain procurement irregularities did take place. And from that, we actually did carry out investigation, and the outcome of the investigation so far is already reflected in the letter that we have provided.
And what was the outcome of the investigations, Mr. Mahmoud?
There were serious procurement challenges that affected that particular tender. The major one was change of specifications to suit a company called Shobika Impex Limited, which was having which had a local agent by the name Crystal Kenya Limited, that had the sole responsibility, or rather the sole function, to provide certain mosquitoes that had certain chemicals. So basically what the investigation concluded is that there are two types of chemicals that were used on these particular nets. If I may read one of them, one is called synergist piperolene photopside, PBO, long-lasting insecticides nets, while the other one is pyrethroid, long-lasting insecticide nets. So this company had the sole distribution rights on this particular chemical called PPO. And in totality, from the investigation, we realized that the PS at that particular time did write to the CEO of KEMSA, instigating, or rather compelling the CEO of KEMSA to change the specifications so that it can fit the chemical that was to be provided by Shobika Impex Limited, whose local agent was Crystal Kenya Limited. Basically, that was the starting point. The other problem was that there was, when the tender was to close on 23rd, the company, this is Shobika Impex Limited, at that particular time wanted to have a bid bond introduced into the documents, into the tender documents. Yet we all know that in procurement, the tender document, the bid bond is supposed to be part of the tender document. They're supposed to be delivered together. But in this circumstance, the bid bond was delivered by hand to the CEO's office on 23rd, when the tender was supposed to close. So they had to find a way of extending the period of closure up to 10th of the next month of March, so that that particular bid bond, which had issues, can now be factored in, or rather regularized, and so that this company called Shobika could benefit out of that particular extension. Of course, there are many other issues. Like, we also realized that at the end of when the tender was discontinued, for example, there is a company called Tianjin Yorkol International Trading Company that was among the bidders that initially bidded for this particular tender. They were disqualified on a fact that they were not authorized by a manufacturer. This company had provided sufficient evidence and proof that they're actually manufacturers. So a company that is a manufacturer was disqualified on the ground that they did not provide authorization from a manufacturer, yet they are actually manufacturers. So those are some of the challenges that the tender had.
And at the end of it all, what became of this tender?
At the end of what happened is, after the technical committee of the KEMSA did recommend Shobika to be awarded the tender, because this tender was actually was being financed by Global Fund. So the agreement was, after the tender evaluation committee's report is done, that report is to be handed over to Global Fund, the financiers. So when that report was surrendered or handed over to the Global Fund realized...
You said the evaluation committee of KEMSA made a recommendation that Shobika be awarded.
Be awarded. That was the finding. That was the
finding of KEMSA.
That was the recommendation by the technical committee.
What happened next?
What happened is Global Fund decided to terminate the tender, and asked an internal firm, or rather an internal organization called Wombo.org, which is the procuring arm of Global Fund, to do the procurement. And eventually, one of the companies that were actually disqualified because they were not authorized by a manufacturer ended up winning that tender, together with another firm called A to Z Textile Mills Limited. So those were the eventual winners, but that was after the termination of the recommendation by the technical committee of KEMSA.
So, just to clarify to the Senate, a company which had been disqualified by KEMSA ended up being the supplier.
That is correct.
Following the process which was undertaken by Global Fund.
That is correct.
Okay. What became of the bid bond?
Well, when we were investigating this, when the investigation was ongoing, we collected all the bid bonds of the firms that actually bidded, so that not only the bid bonds, but all the documents that related to the tender, so that we could evaluate and record statements. Now, the one that had issues was this one for Shobika. But when the tender was terminated, ordinarily, there would be no need to hold onto tenders or onto documents submitted by the tenderers, and they're usually returned. But for this particular one, because it was a questioned document, the CEO of KEMSA wrote to the ESCC requesting for that document to be handed over. And eventually we did hand over the document to him after recommending disciplinary action against all the officers who were involved in the tendering process, starting with the CEO, the technical committee members, the head of procurement entity. For this particular document, we have a certified copy, which we collected in case there would be need to reopen the investigation, because there could have been other offenses that could, come out of the investigation.
Did you hand over the bid bonds for the other companies which had participated in this?
They were returned to KEMSA.
They were returned to KEMSA. Let's go to the second issue, which was identified in your invite, and probably we should start with the third one, which relates to conflict of interest by state officers and public officers. You are a long-serving officer of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. I suppose you are familiar with conflict of interest in terms of the constitutional, statutory, and regulatory procedures. Would you appraise the Senate on that aspect?
Okay, thank you. So conflict of interest is actually addressed under Section 16 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, and it clearly states that a state officer or a public officer shall use the best efforts to avoid being in a situation where personal interests conflict or appear to conflict with the state officers or public officers' official duties. Now, when we talk of personal interest, we look at Section 6, which explains or rather indicates that personal interest includes interest of spouse, child, business associates, agents, or any other matter in which the state officer or public officer has a direct or indirect pecuniary interest. Basically, in practice, what happens is we also have the regulation, which is the subsidiary law of that particular act. If we look at the conflict of interest, that particular part 3 of the leadership and integrity regulations clearly specifies how conflict of interests are supposed to be dealt with. by public officers.
And in summary, how are state officers to deal with questions of conflict?
All public institutions are actually required to maintain a conflict of interest registers, which can be inspected by individuals upon application. That is the starting point. If, for example, a public officer or a state officer feels that he is conflicted, he is supposed to declare the conflict in that particular register. And you know, the commission also has a role in that the commission is actually mandated to enforce and implement the Leadership and Integrity Act together with the regulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mahmoud. And did you say, did I hear you correctly say, that conflict of interest extends to children, spouses, and business associates? Did I hear you correctly?
That is correct. That is subsection 6, section 16.
Let's go to the third issue in view of time, which is in relation to gifts.
Okay, gifts. If you look at section 14 of the Leadership and Integrity Act, together with section 5 of the regulations of the same act, it is clearly indicated that gifts received by a public officer is a donation to the state. That is what Regulation 5 indicates. If you go down there, you'll also see that a state officer or public gift whose value exceeds 20,000 Kenya shillings shall, within 48 hours of reporting to the office, surrender it to the public entity in which the officer is employed. It also goes further in subsection 4 to indicate that a state officer or a public officer who receives a gift in terms of this regulation shall, irrespective of the monetary value of the gift, declare the gift received to public entity which the public officer represents. Finally,
all gifts are supposed to be declared, regardless of its monetary value.
Yeah, maybe, yes, that is correct. But what I maybe should have mentioned is that public officers and state officers are barred to receive any monetary gift. So here we are dealing with gifts that are not non-monetary. For monetary, they are barred, or rather we are barred from receiving any monetary gift. But yeah, so this.
And in the same manner, with respect to conflict of interest, we have a register of conflict of interest. Do we have a register of gifts?
Yes, we have a register of benefits in each and every public agency where officers who receive gifts are supposed to declare immediately, and we have indicated in 48 hours. And what I would also wish to mention is that
what is the role of the Commission in relation to gifts?
Okay. Yeah, now if you look at subsection 9 of the regulations, you will see that a public entity shall, at the close of every financial year, furnish the Commission with a report specifying, and all the gifts, any gift the entity intends to dispose of, all that. And then subsection 3, of course, talks about report. The report under paragraph 1 shall be submitted to the Commission within 30 days after the close of the financial year.
So just so that we can close on that, every financial year, the Commission is supposed to receive the registers of gifts from all state entities.
That is correct.
For your record.
Yeah.
Have you received the register of gifts from the Office of the Deputy President?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge. That will be all, Mr. Speaker.
Counsel for the Deputy President, you may now proceed to cross-examine the witness.
Thank you very kindly, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'll be very brief with you. You did receive the summons this morning, yes?
I received the summons yesterday afternoon.
And you had come and testify in respect to what aspect in the motion of impeachment?
There were 3 items,
yeah,
which I listed.
Kindly grab your notice of impeachment, the motion.
The motion?
Yeah, the motion of impeachment. at volume 1 of the National Assembly.
If you insist.
And as you do so, kindly again repeat or state the thematic areas you are supposed to testify in respect to.
So let me start off by looking at the summons which I received yesterday. So the first one, the investigation of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission of tender, the number is given there.
Thank you. Now let's go to that particular tender. What is the grievance in the notice of motion with respect to that tender? What is the mover of the motion aggrieved with
Which
with
page?
respect to the tender you're testifying?
Which page?
What is the mover of the motion aggrieved with in respect to this tender of KEMSA? It's a simple question. You don't need to refer.
But I need to refer to the document, isn't it? So that I can read the exact.
It's okay, you can be led by your counsel.
Yeah.
You know the motion better than the witness who's been brought to just on a particular aspect. If you can just take him there so that
Let's go to
we save on time.
Just tell me the page, I'll be able to.
you page 24.
Page 24.
Yes.
Page 24.
You reckon that the mover is aggrieved by indicating that the deputy president bullied him and exerted unnecessary pressure in respect to this tender, correct?
As per the document, yes.
That is the position, correct?
That is what is captured here, but that is not part of my evidence.
That is not part of your evidence. Yeah. Does your evidence relate to the notice of motion, to the notice of impeachment before this assembly?
It does, but
is there a complaint in the notice of impeachment that relates to conflict of interest that you know of?
And so what I would really request you, let us deal with my evidence.
Yes,
don't take me to the evidence.
We are dealing with it. Is there a complaint that relates to conflict of interest in the notice of motion? If yes, kindly point it out for the assembly to note.
No, I wouldn't know because I haven't gone through the whole.
You have not gone through the motion.
The whole motion I haven't.
Is there a complaint that relates to gifts and how gifts must be dealt with?
I want to.
Do you know or you do not know, Mr. Witness?
I do not know.
You do not know.
Yes.
Now, in respect to this tender, are you aware that this Senate sat and conducted an independent investigation in that respect?
I'm not even aware.
Are you aware?
I'm only aware of the investigation ESCC conducted.
Yeah. So in respect to this motion that is before the assembly, what investigation did you conduct that relates to the gift in this assembly?
I was requested to talk about.
We are talking about the notice of impeachment before the assembly, Mr. Witness.
I'm referring to the summons that I was given by this House.
And your summons must relate to the proceedings, correct?
I'm not the originator of the summons. How would I know how it relates? I will confine myself to the summons. And there are 3 issues I was to address. One of them is gifts.
How many companies bidded in that particular process?
I think there were about 17.
There were about 17.
Yes.
Did all the bids pass?
Pass in terms of award?
Yes.
Finally, the award was given to 2 companies.
Yes. Which companies were they?
Let me get the names. Yeah, the 2 companies that eventually won after the Global Fund conducted their own tender.
Yes.
One is called Tianjin Yerkol International Trading Company
Limited. Mr. Witness. Yes.
The other one is A to Z.
Do you know what led to the cancellation of the tender?
I know.
Yes, what led to the cancellation of the tender?
It was direct favorism to Shobika.
It was direct favorism to Shobika.
And you know.
Please get hold of the volume 3 of the documents by the Deputy President.
Sorry?
You get hold of volume 3.
Council, you may assist me.
Volume 3 of our bundle of documents. And as soon as you get it, you go to page 221. Volume 3, page 221, Mr. Witness.
Just a minute.
And as soon as you grab it, you go to paragraph 100.
Which page?
Page 221,
221.
paragraph 100. Volume 3.
221, just 1 minute.
Let me assist you with my bundle because we want to save time. Page 221.
Which
Look
paragraph?
at paragraph 100.
Paragraph 100. Yes, I'm there.
Yes, paragraph 100.
I'm there.
Yes, can you read what the report indicates?
In its report, dated 25th April 2023, Global Fund noted that KEMSA had failed to apply the evaluation criteria consistently to all bidders and that none of the bidders met the minimum requirements.
So what is indicated that none of the bidders met the minimum
Requirement.
Yes. Let's go to page 221, 222.
Now, 2,
22.
220.
At paragraph 106.
222.
And again, read it loudly.
Notwithstanding KEMSA's reservations, in a letter dated 4th May 2023, the Acting Director of Procurement recommended termination of the process. The CEO approved, and on 5th May 2023, the termination was communicated.
What
to all the
was
bidders.
terminated?
The process.
The process of bidding, correct?
Yes.
Why was it terminated?
Now,
Paragraph 100, Mr. Witness,
no,
paragraph
Counsel,
100.
Counsel, look.
You know, I am
I'm
cross-examining
I will
you.
only deal with my evidence. I will not deal with the evidence of other institutions. The Senate is an independent institution. The ESCC
That we know.
conducted its own investigation. Please ask me questions related to the investigation.
Now, after making your statement, please read the reason why the termination was actuated
If you
at
ju-
paragraph 100.
If you want me just to read for the sake of it, but I'm not owning this evidence. I'm only owning the evidence by ESCC.
I didn't ask you to own it.
Yeah.
Witness, the counsel is asking you to read a certain paragraph.
Okay.
Just read it.
Guided.
Yes?
Which paragraph?
I have asked you to read paragraph 106, correct?
Yes.
About the terminations, correct?
Yes.
And I've asked you to state for the assembly the reasons why the terminations is being recommended, correct?
Yes.
And I've told you that that answer, you'll find it at page 221, paragraph 100, correct?
Correct.
And that the bidding was terminated because the bids failed to meet the minimal requirements, correct?
Correct.
And therefore, the cancellation was not as the result of your alleged favorism, correct?
That is not my evidence. My evidence is
Yes, I
there
know.
was clear favorism.
Clear favorism.
Yeah.
Look at paragraph 226, page 226.
226, I'm there.
Yes? Look at paragraph 136.
I'm there.
Yeah? Read paragraph 136.
In late April 2023, he learned from the Global Fund.
Who is this learning from Global Funds?
Oh, you just took me there straight.
Yeah, look at paragraph 225 so that we can get to know who is learning.
235 or 2?
Yeah, 225.
225.
That is the evidence by one Dr. Andrew Mulwa, acting CEO KEMSA, correct?
Now, 225, 125, if you...
225.
220.
Up here.
Which paragraph?
Up here.
Yeah, submissions by Dr. Andrew Mulwa, acting
Yes.
CEO.
So what is he saying now at paragraph 136?
136, in April 2023, he learned from Global Fund pre-award review report that the long-lasting insecticide nets tender was to be cancelled on account of inconsistencies in the bid evaluation.
Yes?
Yes,
So why was it cancelled?
the issue would be who caused the bid.
No, it's not who
Inconsistency.
caused. We are looking at the report. What does it indicate at that paragraph, the issues of the cancellation?
Paragraph 136,
Yes.
on account of
It
inconsistencies.
speaks to the fact that the bid or the tender was cancelled, correct?
It does, yes.
And it speaks to the reason that it was cancelled on the basis or on the reason of inconsistency, correct?
Correct.
And therefore, your testimony that was a result of favorism does not sit well with the evidence contained at paragraph 136 of the bundle, correct?
This, my evidence.
No. I just want you to limit yourself to that paragraph vis-a-vis what you stated. That the reason for the cancellation was the inconsistency, Mr. Witness, yes?
Inconsistencies, yes. But
Thank you. Let's go on.
How is the inconsistency?
Let us go
How
to
does
that
it
one. You
arise?
shall explain in another forum, not here.
Yeah. Continue.
Let's go to paragraph 230, to page 230.
Page 230.
Yes?
Which paragraph?
230.
Which paragraph?
Paragraph G.
G, yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Can you read it out?
At the evaluation stage, the audit team established that only 2 bidders passed the preliminary evaluation and proceeded to the technical evaluation, that is bidder number 3, Tianjin and Coal International.
Which two companies passed?
As per this one, Tianjin Coal
Yes?
International,
Yes?
bidder number 7,
Yes?
Premier Movers Limited, contrary to evaluation
Is
committee.
Shobika part of those bidders?
No, it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
Look at page 231 again, paragraph J.
231.
Page 231, paragraph J.
Paragraph J, yes.
Yes? Read J.
The termination of the tender complied with Section 62 of the Act and Global Fund guidelines.
So the termination was lawful, correct? And it complied with the Procurement Act, correct or not correct, Mr. Witness?
Correct.
Correct. Let us look at page 246.
246.
Yes, page 246, paragraph 213.
246.
Paragraph 213.
213, yes.
Yes, what is the report indicating?
Following the cancellation of the tender at KEMSA, TNT placed an order of 10.2 million nets on wombo.org website, and procurement was subsequently done in line with the technical specifications provided by the Ministry of Health.
So the nets were eventually procured, correct or not correct?
They were eventually procured.
And it took the interventions of global funds to procure them, correct?
Correct.
And that you'll look at paragraph 215, yes?
Yes, I'm there.
Read it out.
Further, prior to the cancellation of the tender, differences arose between Global Fund team and the immediate former PS, State Department of Public Health, and professional standards with regard to the operations and ongoing at the DNPM Ministry of Health. It was noted that these differences...
It was noted that these differences may have played a role in the final decision by global funds to terminate the tender processes, correct?
Correct.
Did that have anything to do with the Deputy President? According to the statement you've just read? It has nothing to do with the Deputy President. Let us now finally answer your issues at page 271.
271. Page.
Yes, and read loudly paragraph 24 and 25.
271. Paragraph
24 and 25.
The committee, that is 24, the committee observed that following the termination of the tender, while there was no apparent loss of public funds.
Just read it loudly.
The committee observed that following the termination of the tender, while there was no apparent loss of public funds,
there was no apparent loss of?
They lost USD 455,589.4, approximately 70 million in procurement fees.
The report from the Senate indicates there was no loss of public funds, correct?
Let me read this paragraph again so that we are
yes,
together.
Proceed.
The committee observed that following the termination of the tender, while there was no apparent loss of public funds,
just put a full stop there. Pause. What has the committee observed?
You don't want me to finish the
Yes,
sentence?
I'll lead you to that other part.
Okay.
What has the committee observed?
No public funds lost.
No public funds lost. In your investigations, separate investigations that you conducted, did you arrive at the same conclusion?
There was no public funds lost.
There was
because
no
the
public
tender
funds
was
lost.
terminated.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So let us look at paragraph 25.
25 years.
Yes, read it out.
The committee observed that the cancellation of the tender appeared to have been influenced by Global Fund's apparent effort to exert significant control over the procurement process from the beginning to the end.
Thank you. What occasioned the cancellation?
The cancellation of the tender appeared to have been influenced by the Global Fund's apparent effort to exert significant control over the procurement process.
Is there any evidence indicating that the deputy president was involved in that process?
No.
Was his companies involved?
No.
Was his family involved?
No.
Any evidence that you have before this assembly to that respect?
The evidence I have
No. Any evidence that any of them were involved?
on this report, or my evidence?
This report.
On this report, no, but my evidence is.
Let us go to the next paragraph, yeah? This concluded that Global Funds teams based in Geneva, Switzerland, making multiple trips to Nairobi, Kenya, at least 3 times during the relevant period, raising concerns about the autonomy and the ability of the local government. Just read it out.
That is paragraph 25.
Yes, the same paragraph.
Okay. The committee observed that cancellation of the tender appeared to have been influenced by Global Fund's apparent effort to exert significant control over the procurement process from the beginning to the end. This included Global Fund team based in Geneva, Switzerland, making multiple trips to Nairobi, Kenya, at least 3 times during the relevant period, raising concerns about the autonomy and the ability of the local government agencies.
The autonomy of the organization, correct? Let us look at paragraph 222 again. Sorry, page 222. Page 222, Mr. Witness.
222.
And while you get there, you look at paragraph 105, 107. Page 222.
Paragraph
107. Would you kindly read it out?
107. It is further her testimony that, I don't know whose testimony this is.
Yeah. That is a testimony of the submissions of Terry Ramathani, immediate CEO.
Okay.
Yes, you find that at page 219. Yeah, but now I'm interested in paragraph 105, 107.
It was further her testimony that the authority had struggled to maintain its autonomy.
The authority has struggled to maintain its autonomy, yes?
Owing to the undue influence.
Owing to undue interference.
Interference by the Cabinet Secretary.
From the Cabinet Secretary for Health, yes, post. Who was the Cabinet Secretary for Health at the time in issue?
Oh, we can check that one.
Yeah, who was? This regime has only had two cabinet secretaries.
Let me just confirm from my records here. Because she did a letter to us, so.
Council Jiro.
The name is
Just hold on, witness.
This is Wafula.
Hold on, Mr. Abdi.
Yes, sir.
Council Jiro.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
I thought when you're cross-examining a witness, you cross-examine on the evidence they've given. You totally abandoned his evidence.
Those are not the rule of cross-examination, Mr. Speaker, sir. I respectfully beg to differ.
The reason why the witness has difficulties.
He doesn't have difficulties in the speaker.
No, he has.
No, I am asking him to read. Okay, I will be guided.
Proceed, if that's your line of argument, proceed.
Thank you for giving the latitude. Who was the Cabinet Secretary at the time the bid was being cancelled?
She's Nakumicha.
Nakumicha.
Wafula.
Has the Senate found that what occasioned all these cancellations of these tenders was the loss of the autonomy of KEMSA?
I would want to confine myself to my evidence.
I know. At this time,
I
we wish
want to talk about the evidence.
Okay, then read that paragraph. Just read for me.
Which paragraph?
Paragraph 107. And I want to finish up with you.
Okay. Paragraph 107. It was further her testimony that the authority had struggled to maintain its autonomy owing to the undue interference from the Cabinet Secretary for Health. For instance, she stated that on 22nd March 2023, she received a note from the CS asking her to assist a certain Mr. Ken Ogola.
She received a note from the CS asking the CEO to assist one Ken Ogola, correct?
As per this statement, yes.
Have you seen associated with the Deputy President being accused of these interferences?
No.
Let's go to your bundle as I finish up, volume 8A. Any evidence from volume 8A that you've brought that links
That?
that links the Deputy Press Company to the cancellation of the tender?
Yes.
Look at your paragraph, look at your letter dated 23rd September. Your letter dated 23rd September, and look at the recommendations.
Yes.
What are you recommending?
We are recommending for admin action against the KEMSA officials and the Ministry of Health officials. There is a pending issue.
It's okay. I want you to limit yourself to what I am asking in that respect.
Yes.
You are recommending administrative action to KEMSA officials.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct. But the file is
In
still
that particular paragraph, any recommendation for the prosecution of the company in issue? In that particular paragraph?
the file is still open.
It's okay.
As per these recommendations,
You
no.
brought the documents here. We are dealing with what you have brought, not what you have in the
Yes.
office.
Yes.
Any recommendation in respect of that company?
No.
Thank you. Let us go to a letter dated 21st August, correct?
Of my bundles?
Of your bundles.
By who?
The EACC bundles, the one that you're just looking at. Don't leave volume 8A. You can see the letter dated 21st August, correct?
Just a minute. I get the letter. 21st August, yes.
Yes. Can you see the recommendation at
Yes.
page 7?
Yes.
What are you recommending?
We are recommending for the investigation established that the Chief Executive Officer at KEMSA, Terry Ramadhani, failed to ensure complies with the procurement processes and the law, contrary to Section 44 of the PPDA Act.
That Ramadhani was in breach of the law, correct?
Correct.
A person who is in breach of the law, what happens to him or her?
There are many ways of dealing with that. We can charge.
The law sanctions that act, correct?
Exactly.
Do you know what sanction was given to Terry?
I wouldn't know, but
Do you know that she is now currently the ambassador to New Delhi?
that was not our expectation. We
I know.
expected administrative action taken against the lady.
So, did any person, either the chief executive officer, report to you that he has received any intimidation, harassment, bullying from
No.
the office of the deputy president?
No.
Yeah?
No.
Did you receive any complaint?
Not to EACC.
Did you receive any complaint?
No.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Witness, finally, where do you place your evidence in these proceedings?
In these proceedings, I place my evidence on the conflict of interest bit.
Conflict of interest.
Which I said, personal interest.
It's okay that you say it, and I understand the law.
Allow me to finish, please.
So show me in the notice of motion, I put it to you, that in the notice of motion, there is no charge as against explanation.
I can stand by my report.
So we disregard the report by the Senate, correct?
I didn't tell you that. I didn't
So
say that.
we disregard the report by the Senate. Is that the contempt that you have for this
I can only
House?
stand by my evidence, which I can prove in any forum.
Has that report by the Senate indicated any investigations on the ground of favorism, conflict of interest, and gifts?
No, I haven't gone through the report, so I wouldn't want to
Council,
comment.
Thank you.
Are you done?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir, but you're addressing me.
Are you done?
Yes, I am done.
Take your seat.
I'm also obliged.
Mr. Speaker, I believe I had around 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
Go to Council. Now, I'm afraid, Council, your time is up. However, you have 2 hours to cross-examine the Deputy President. That's where you can borrow from.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to borrow 10 minutes in respect of this witness.
Laura, proceed.
Mr. Mahmoud, do you still have the bundle of volume 3?
Yes.
Do you still have volume 3 from the, it's a bigger volume than that.
Yeah?
It's a bigger volume.
Oh.
Let me take you to page 236 of that report. Of that bundle, sorry.
$236.
236.
Yes, I'm there.
You're there.
Yes.
Go to paragraph 188 and inform the Senate
I'm there.
what the Senate stated in that report, in that paragraph.
So 188, at the financial evaluation, the evaluation committee, the following bidders, the evaluation committee, I think there's a word missing, the following bidders for award. Item 001, that is mosquito nets treated, rectangular polythene. Number 1 is Shobika Impex Private Limited.
So bidder number 2, Shobika Impex privately, for an award to Shobika Impex.
Correct.
And it is contained in the report of the Senate.
Correct.
Confirm also that what you've been taken through by my learned friend are the various testimonies of the witnesses who appeared before the Senate. And those testimonies ran from page 202 all the way to page 265. Is that correct?
202, yes. That's correct.
So what counsel has done is to give you the various contestations by the witnesses who came before the Senate. Is that correct?
Correct.
What is important is the recommendations and the observations of the Senate, which is contained in pages 266.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And allow me to just highlight 3 of the observations which were taken out by the Senate. Look at page 267. Page 267, under the rubric
Yes. Which
in
paragraph?
regards to the tender specifications.
Which paragraph?
Page 267, title B.
Title B, in regard to the tender specifications.
The Senate picked out the tender specifications as an issue, which emerged, correct?
Correct.
Go to page 268.
I'm there.
They also picked out the issue of extension of the tender.
Yes.
And in particular, read to the Senate, paragraph 16(1). Paragraph 16(1).
1. The sequence of events leading to the extension appeared solicited and mischievous
As evidenced by
the following.
The Senate is saying that the extension appeared solicited and mischievous, and they then go ahead to give reasons.
Yes.
6 reasons, actually.
Sure.
Hyphenated. And then they also pick out under D the manner in which KEMSA evaluated the tender. Is that correct?
Correct.
So this report of the Senate rhymes with your observations in all material respects. Is that not so?
Correct.
At paragraph E, the Senate then discusses the process which led to cancellation. It's titled cancellation of the tender. Is that correct?
Correct.
And they say that though there was no loss of funds, KEMSA lost 70 million shillings
Yes.
in procurement fees.
Yeah, paragraph 24. Yes.
So in no material respect, this report rhymes with the report of the EACC.
That is correct.
And there is no reason for you to disown it. You've also been told that conflict of interest is not an issue which has been raised by the mover of the motion.
Correct.
To the best of your knowledge, does the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Act, Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, have a clause on conflict of interest and makes it an offense?
Yeah, it does. The Leadership and Integrity Act also does. Yeah.
I will identify to the Senate during my submissions the relevant section which is contained in the motion. Thank you, Mr. Mahmoud. And we wish to close with this witness, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Thank you. We will now move to allow honorable senators to ask questions or seek clarifications. Starting with the senator for Nairobi City County. Senator Eddy.
Mr. Speaker, I've got two quick clarification questions, one from the witness and then one from the counsel who cross-examined the witness. Mr. Abdi, you have indicated to this Senate that eventually of all the 17 companies that did bid for this tender, all of them eventually got all their bid bonds and documents back. However, the witness that appeared before us, called Mr. Mulwa, indicated that on the 11th of July 2023, he received a phone call from the Deputy President to be able to come and collect the bid bond for Shobika, specifically from EACC. I want to know, when did the other 16 companies get their bid bonds from EACC? Did they get it at the same date that the former witness indicated that he waited for 5 hours from EACC, or did they get them from EACC at a variable date? Then lastly, Mr. Speaker, the counsel for the Deputy President has heavily relied on the Senate report. And if you look at page 218 all the way to page 230, it is submissions to Senate by different individuals. Counsel, do submissions itemized by individuals who appeared before Senate in your best understanding amount to Senate's finding and resolutions in your best understanding? And what do you make of page 275 of Senate recommendations and not findings? Because you did indicate to this House that those were Senate findings. Are they findings or are they submissions of individuals to the Senate of Kenya? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mungatana.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Swali langu kwa mshahidi. Umeelezea bunge la Senate ya kwamba wafanyikazi wa serikali hawakubaliwi kuchukua pesa kama zawadi. Lakini wafanyikazi wa serikali wanakubaliwa kuchukua zawadi aina ingine. Na tena ukasema katika EACC kuna orodha ambayo mnaorodhesha kila kitu ambacho kinachukuliwa na mfanyikazi yoyote wa serikali. Tunajua kwamba makamu wa rais amekuwa mbele ya Kenya nzima akasema amepata ng'ombe kutoka kwa marafiki zake wa bonde la ufa kama zawadi. Mimi nataka kukuuliza na uelezee hii bunge yetu ya Senate. Je, uko na orodha ya yote ya hizo ng'ombe za maziwa ambazo zilipatikana, ambazo anasema aliziorodhesha? Hiyo ndio swali yangu kwako. Asante.
Senator Chesang Alan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have two questions that I would like to ask the Council of His Excellency, the Deputy President, to tell the House why was it the Deputy President calling the CEO of KEMSA asking for a release of the bid bond and not the CEO of Crystal Company, yet he's not an employee or a director of the said company. Number two, Mr. Speaker, number two, I equally want to ask the Council of the Deputy President to enlighten me and prove to this House that on how the call by the Deputy President to the CEO of KEMSA pertaining a bid bond that was in process of a contract, not a conflict of interest. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to ask the Council if the Deputy President knows that he's not a regional leader, but a national leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Fatuma Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the DP's Council. Now, I saw you trying to cross-examine the witness before us on a report of the Senate, which I believe he has not interacted with. And again, the motion that was before the House and also the National Assembly. What are you trying to drive out of that? I thank you.
Senator Joyce Korir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. My question is, I wanted to know what informed the extension of time, the change of dates from the extension of time from during the procurement process. Thank you.
Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My question to Mr. Abdi. You receive a letter from the Health Ministry on 11th May 2023. Then in your wisdom, you replied 16 months later, when the CS has even left the office. My question, and that is 5 months after the Senate looks into the issue and comes with a report. Are you part of the conspiracy? Don't answer me, answer your children.
Senator Sigei. Senator Kibwana. And honorable senators, you know, when you're given an opportunity to seek clarification or ask a question, it is not a moment to get a TikTok clip. Please, this is a very serious matter. Proceed. Let us not embarrass this House. Proceed, Senator Hamida.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, To Mr. Abdi, I just wanted a clarification whether EACC, when EACC conducts their investigation, are they guided by other investigations? Because through the cross-examination, I think it was vis-a-vis the parliament investigation. So I think these are two different investigations. So I wanted that clarification. Whether that's why we always bring in or loop in a EACC investigation. Number two, would you call it a bribe if a gift is not declared, or gifts in a public office? Would you call it a bribe? Just the last one to the council. How do you cross-examine what someone came and said, but not exactly specific findings of the Senate? Because I found it a bit contradicting. Because the resolutions of the Senate is based on committees' observation and recommendations, but not investigations. Thank you.
Senator Kathuri.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, mine is not to the council or to the witness, but to the remarks which has been given out here by Senator Karungo Dhangwa. Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether you heard what he said, and I do not associate myself as a senator, honorable senator, with those remarks to a witness appearing before the Senate, that please don't answer me, answer your children. Mr. Speaker, that should be expunged from the records of the Senate and from the answer, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable senators. Senator Karungo, that is unparliamentary and totally out of order. Proceed to retract that statement, failure to which the chair will rule.
Mr. Speaker, as I withdraw, this session is viewed by everybody. At home, our children too. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karungo, I never give you an opportunity to make a speech. Retract or you allow me to make a ruling.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, I retract.
Take your seat.
I withdraw, and please answer me.
Take your seat, Senator Karungo, please. Senator Keroche Tabitha.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity. And as a mother, I think I've also felt I'm hurt with Senator Karungo. But because it has been ruled, thank you. We should never, ever. I know we had a meeting, closed door meeting before we started this. And we all agreed we are going to behave. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Proceed to seek clarification.
Mine is to the Abdi. My question is to the Abdi on whatever you're trying to do on the procurement irregularities. But my question is, are you doing to the others? Because there are a lot of complaints on the procurement departments in all the ministries. So I hope this continues to everywhere. Thank you.
Senator Richard Onyonka.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to ask Mr. Abdi this question. In your observation, maybe in just a paragraph, what do you interpret happened about this tender from its inception, in terms of the procurement, in terms of the exercise and the conclusion, as an officer whose responsibility is actually to investigate if there was any breakage of the law, and if necessary, make recommendations to the DPP. What conclusion did you reach when you were analyzing this matter? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Karen Nyamu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Mulwa, before this House, implicated the Deputy President in a scandal of the 3.7 billion KEMSAR deal. in your own investigation, can you corroborate what Dr. Mulwa has?
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, my question is different. I want to ask the previous, the advocate who spoke or presented the Kenya Kwanza agreement. Yes, Council, can you clarify from the agreement, the Kenya Kwanza agreement, whether there are any shares for the following counties? Please note this. This is important. Kisumu County, Siaya County, Tui County, Mombasa County, Vihiga County, Mandera County, Marsabit County, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, Lamu, and Nairobi County. I just want to know whether, and this is important because the legal crinkum crankum, the twist and turns in this is that you will then interpret, Council, whether the agreement violates Article 210(2)(b) of the Constitution, inclusivity, diversity, discrimination, and the obligation of the President under Article 131. Lastly, Council, please just tell us whether, in your view, the relationship between the Deputy President and the President, because you played the two clips under Kenya Kwanza, has broken down irretrievably. That will help us. Thank you.
Senator Essie Okenyere.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would wish to seek more information from Mr. Abdi on was it in order for the bid bond document to be released while there was an ongoing investigation? And secondly, did EACC clear Madam Terry Ramadan as the ambassador? Thank you.
Senator Enoch Wambua.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a few things to clarify from EACC. One, did you find it necessary to record a statement from Crystal and Shobika in that probe? Because they had been mentioned. Were they entities of interest in the investigation? Secondly, has Shobika ever done any business with KEMSA or with Global Fund before the case on record? In your own investigations, did you find that? In your letter, I see you have recommended administrative actions to the CEO, the acting director of procurement, and 2 procurement officers. I see no recommendation of any action, not necessarily by KEMSA, against Crystal or against Shobika. And I think that's in line with your own recommendation that in this case on record, there was no public funds lost, and eventually the bid was returned. So in your own investigation, what is at issue here? I thank you.
Senator Mofire.
I don't know whether this. Honorable Speaker, I want to know from the witness from the EACC. I've listened to his evidence, and I would want to know, on behalf of the whole House, whether the contract for mosquito nets, which was drawn out of interference, because I have captured those confessions from him. So my question is, Honorable Speaker, can he connect the company associated with the DP, with the withdrawal of that contract? Number 2, Honorable Speaker, I have also listened to Mr. Murwa, Dr. Murwa. One would want to know, is it normal for ordinary CEO to come and camp in your office for 5 hours?
Senator Muma.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question to the witness is that we've been told by Dr. Mulwa that the people of Kenya lost money, they lost time, they lost the number of nets they were going to get, and services to people. Now, does EACC end at just saying you recommend administrative action? Now, who takes responsibility for the loss of all of that the people of Kenya did? And what responsibility is taken in respect of tinkering with the procurement in order to give it found not to have been correct? Honorable Speaker, one more question to Council. Now that Professor Ojenda has asked, I want to take opportunity to ask Council Macharia, you referred to the Political Parties Act, Schedule 3, as the instrument with which you allege that the shareholding, in your view, that was being spoken about is contained in the coalition government of Kenya Kwanza. Can you give us the exact provisions of Schedule 3 of the Political Parties Act that says that shareholding can be done on development projects in Kenya?
Senator Mugo. Senator Mugo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I have a question for the Excellency Deputy President's Counsel as to whether the Deputy President, in his own conscience, realized that shareholding is really going negative, and what did he do about it? Or he just went all the way up to where things are now without he himself realizing that it is going the wrong way?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Very briefly, just want to ask the witness, Mr. Abdi. He has stated that as per their investigation, EACC, that the closing date was moved for this tender, particular tender, was moved from the 23rd of February 2023 in order for the process to favor Shobika, or whose local agent was Christo. Can you clarify, Mr. Abdi, whether extension of the tender period was due to the late delivery of bid bond, because you said that the tender was also attached to a bid bond that was late? Was the reason the late delivery of the bid bond, or the specifications of the long-lasting net from synergist peronil, something like that, but side to pyrethroid? It was the reason. Late delivery of bid bond or the specification. Number two, Mr. Abdi, you have indicated that the charges against the officers of KEMSA and the PS herself, is that the right thing that EACC was supposed to do, or it should have preferred charges against these errant, in quotes, officers? And finally, why were the companies that were eventually given the tender or awarded the tender by Global FAD, why had they initially been disqualified by KEMSA? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Lelegwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I would like to seek clarifications from the Advocate of the National Assembly in reference to Ground 11, which pertains to gross misconduct bullying. You have alleged that that His Excellency, the Deputy President, exerted undue pressure on officials of Kenya Medical Supplies Agency in order to secure a tender for supply of mosquito nets to Crystal Limited, a company purportedly associated with him. Now, upon reviewing the documentation provided, I have noted that 17 companies submitted bids for this tender, yet it was ultimately not awarded to any of them. Given these findings,